Hey everyone, I wanted to talk to you a bit about the type of realtor that you're going to hire. Basically, you're hiring them, they're getting paid when you complete the transaction. Maybe not directly from you, but they may be getting paid from the seller, out of the seller's portion. But since you're purchasing that house, okay, that person, that agent is getting paid by the seller. You're paying that price of the house, so it actually comes out of your portion. It comes out of what you're paying for. Okay, so essence, if you're the buyer, you're paying for that agent. If you're a listing agent, the seller's paying for you, or the buyer's paying for you, vice versa, because they're purchasing that house. And so you have a right to understand as a consumer, as a buyer, as a listing agent, how that realtor represents you. So I just want to briefly talk, and on layman's terms, and not I'm not an attorney, so I don't want to give you all these legal definitions, but let's keep it really simple. Realtors break down into two basic categories. There's a blend on it. We'll talk about that briefly. So your realtor type. All realtors, we all presume they're good. They're licensed professionals, and so we're going to leave that portion to that. You want to do your homework on what type of realtor you get, how strong are they, how well educated they are to handle your transaction, and who you feel comfortable with. Okay, but what is their role to you? Every realtor, before they take the listing on your house, or if you're selling a house, or if you're a buyer and you're purchasing a home, you want to know how that realtor is going to represent you and do that job. So realtor breaks down into a type of agency. A realtor is the realtor that's going to take you out, show you the home, or list your home. It's the brokerage that's responsible. So the brokeraging manager is responsible for all the realtors underneath them. Okay, so it's really important to understand that that it's the brokerage that's responsible. So everything refers to the brokerage. So that's why you're going to see the term agency, meaning the brokerage company, the broker, the licensed broker. So, and that's important to understand that. So if you got Harold, he works for ABC Realty. Harold's a nice guy, but he's the realtor. Now at ABC Realty, there might be a guy named Nick who is the broker. Those are just examples. So Nick, the qualifying broker, the brokerage is the agency, and the realtor is the agent for the agency. Okay, I hope I explained that. Okay, so a realtor that really represents you is a realtor that takes a position of single agency. That brokerage and the realtor taking you out is the representative of that brokerage taking single agency. Whether they must declare to you that they're representing you, and you only. Okay, and whether you're the seller or you're the buyer of a property. Okay, so it's really important that's going to give you your strongest representation. They're declaring they're your representative, okay, in layman's terms. Okay, so go from there, but they're limited. And the reason why they're limited is once they're saying they represent you as a single agent, single agency, okay, if Peter at ABC Realty has a listing and you're a buyer, okay, Harold can't show you that house because he represents you. His brokerage represents you. So there would be a conflict of interest because now that brokerage also represents a seller. So that's the limitation you have using a single agency. They're supposed to fight stronger for you in that situation. Okay, so if ABC is showing a house that's listed by 123 Realty, okay, now you have a stronger representative. They're there for you. They're there to tick it out. So you want to know the realtor's attitude, and you want to know their position they're going to take with you before you go out looking for homes or before you list their homes. Okay, if the realtor tells you they're a transactional agency or a transaction broker, okay, that means they represent the transaction as a whole. Each position, they have a fiduciary responsibility to all parties involved. Okay, they have to disclose all known facts at each one. this one may have a stronger negotiating position than this one. Because this position, they're not limited. They can show you every house on the market. Or if they're listing your house, they can bring any buyer, whether it's their buyer or their buyer. So you think about that. If you're selling your house and you're listed with Peter, okay, but Peter gets a buyer for your house, you see, who does Peter represent? Me, the seller, or me, the buyer? Okay, so Peter can be conflicted. So Peter has a fiduciary responsibility to always do the right thing for both parties. So he leaves the negotiating more so between the buyer and the seller. So you kind of think about how much influence does Peter have on my transaction, whether I'm the buyer or the seller. Okay, so understand, whereas Peter's not limited in that case, he's a weaker representative for one party over the other. He doesn't, he's got to back off. He can't say, oh, I know the seller will come down to this, to the buyer. He can't do that. And he can't, and vice versa, if he's doing the contract for you, the buyer, he can't go to the seller, hey, I know they have more money, they can come up the price. He can't not do that. He's not allowed to do that. So that's where he's limited, okay? Whereas the single agency can go in and say, hey, I took a buyer here last week to see this house, and I know that seller countered at, it was listed at 240, they counted at 220. So we don't want to offer more than 220. That's where you have strong representatives. This person cannot do that. So always know up front what type of realtor you're working with, a single agency or transactional broker. Get your facts, know them. If you have any questions, you send us an email.